Hello, friends. You probably have heard this past week the big deal being made out of opening our churches. Well, as many clergy friends and other religious leaders have noted, our churches have not been closed. No, we have continued to be involved in mission and ministry beyond the four walls of this or any church or religious institution. We don't need a building to have faith, after all. We don't need a building, really, to worship God. We don't need a building to serve God. In fact, we need to be beyond our buildings to serve. And we certainly don't need a building to be connected in the Spirit together with one another. We already are. The reality is, it is not safe for us yet to open our buildings. In New York State, religious institutions are in the last category of those who are able to open. And that's because of the complications involved in opening these buildings and the risks that we take when doing so. It's not that we don't want to be together. Of course we do. We miss worshiping in person. I miss worshiping in person with you. But we love each other and care about one another so much that the last thing that we want to do is expose anyone to this virus. It's sneaky, and we don't always know when we or others might be sick. We don't want to take those chances. Our bishop, Tom Bickerton, shares that stance, and in fact has told us in the New York Annual Conference that we are not to open our church buildings yet. He sent out two very important emails this past week, which I've shared the links in the email which you're receiving, and he shares these most important things for us to remember. One is that it is not time for us to open our buildings yet, when we can't open our buildings yet. And when we do, we are going to take every precaution that we can to keep people safe. We will be trained and instructed in how to do that properly and well so that no one becomes ill. I've read multiple stories, probably you have too, of congregations and pastors who went against the law and went against the rules and met together anyway, and then members of those congregations became ill. In fact, members died, and several pastors did as well. That's terrible, and it's tragic, and it was probably preventable if only they had heeded the precautions. It's true, many of us are tired of being cooped up. There are many who are not taking those precautions seriously, not wearing masks, not keeping social distance. But when we do that, we run the risk of either becoming ill ourselves or making somebody else sick when we might be sharing the virus without our knowledge. That's just not acceptable. And I don't think that it's Christ-like. The science is clear. We need to continue social distancing. We need to keep washing our hands and wearing our masks and using hand sanitizer and when needed, like when getting gas, wearing gloves. Eventually, we will be able to gather together once again. And it will be safe once we finally have vaccines and cures. And oh, how we pray for those people who are working on them. Please, God, may it be soon. The school year is coming to an end, or already has for many. And I think about those who are graduating or have graduated, my nephew among them, some of our church members. Their senior years did not turn out the way that they had hoped or planned, their graduations not being celebrated as they'd hoped. We pray for those young people. And we pray especially for college students who are graduating and going out into this unknown world. It must be overwhelming and frightening sometimes. We pray too for the students who have found it so hard to learn online, and for the teachers who have been trying their hardest to help it happen. It's been a very complicated time. We pray for those who are in recovery from the virus, those who are suffering from it now. We pray for the families of those who have died from it. We pray for those on the front line, for those of our essential workers who are out there no matter what. We pray for people living in countries where they are not receiving accurate information about the virus. My friends in Nicaragua and Brazil are facing this very thing. Their governments are either not telling them the truth or they're just outright lying about it. And so they don't even know the statistics for how many people are ill or dying. And they don't know, unless they're watching international news, how to properly care for themselves and one another. This is terrible, and in some of those countries, the death rates are astronomical. We urge you, we urge all of us, pay attention to the scientists and those in the medical profession. They are offering us the best information that they can. Please, take those precautions. Take care of yourself and those around you. We want you to live. We want us all to live. And we will when we take the precautions that we need, when we show our love for one another by being apart from one another for now. My prayers are with you. They're with us all as we continue to journey through this challenging time in our country and in our world. Peace and blessings.